Hello, welcome to my channel. My name is Fran, and today I'd like to talk about Murphy's Law and the parallel with the law of assumption. Okay, so first of all, what is Murphy's Law? Murphy's Law states that if anything can go wrong, it will. The bread will always land butter side down, it will rain as soon as you wash your car or organize a barbecue, and that the other line will always move faster. All right, so someone has tried to explain the butter side down effect by using math. The the average height of the table, the rotation rate, and the fact that the buttered side is heavier than the other. It seems that from the average table's height, the bread hasn't got enough time to do two complete rotations, and it will tend to land on the heavier side. So it appears that this one cannot be ascribed to bad luck. Now, I've experienced firsthand all other cases of Murphy's Law, and I can testify to them. But notice this, Murphy's Law applies merely to pessimists. Unfortunate things happen after negative omens only to superstitious people. Now, there are several explanations for these. First of all, let's look at the psychological one, the pessimistic bias. Now, our articulate singular cortex, or ACC, is a part of the brain which helps us pay attention to emotional stimuli. Now, if we continuously attach a negative meaning to a certain neutral stimulus, for instance, a black cat, the stimulus eventually will arouse a negative emotional response, as it is now recorded as a potential threat. So our articulate singular cortex will alert us to its presence more readily. You see, our central nervous system cannot process all the stimuli that impinge on our senses, or else it would be completely overwhelmed. So it has to prioritize important ones, such as threats. This means that whereas someone indifferent to black cats will probably ignore the vast majority of them, someone who sees a black cat as a threat will tend to notice all of them. So the attentional bias is a real physical neurological phenomenon, a system which allows us to hone in on that which is important or significant to us. So if you are pessimistic, you are certainly more likely to notice or spot unpleasant or negative events when they do happen. Yet most people have noticed this. When you're in a rush, you move to the shortest queue at the supermarket, and something will happen that will slow down the process on your side. You move to the other lane on the motorway, and it comes to a standstill. The key word here is rush. You need the line to move quickly, and it stops. You resent or resist the waiting time as you are afraid that you will be late for something. You are hyper-focusing on the unwanted result, hence magnifying it or amplifying it. Now ask yourself this. How comes most people have no trouble believing in Murphy's Law, yet they find it incredibly challenging or difficult to believe in the law of assumption or law of attraction? After all, it's exactly the same thing in reverse. In actual fact, it's simply the same thing from a different perspective or with a different name. The law of assumption states that which you focus on, you bring about, manifest or attract into your life. This is exactly what Murphy's Law is. You focus on running late, on the line not moving, on being in the unlucky queue, and that is exactly what you get. As Neville Goddard once stated, you are always living in the end of something. It depends on what end you are living in, whether you believe in Murphy's Law or in the law of attraction or assumption, whether you are a pessimist or an optimist. Now, you might object that you are a realist, but let me reassure you on this, there is no such thing. Now, all we perceive is an interpretation of otherwise neutral stimuli. But due to our past experiences, we have developed a bias towards different stimuli. The articulate singular cortex, or ACC's job, is to do exactly this, alert us to those who have become emotionally biased stimuli. You will become sensitized to certain stimuli, as a consequence of your past experiences. So neutral or realistic perception does not exist, period. To be human is to be biased. Once we have resigned ourselves to this truth, we can decide which way we want to go with it, but we could do it consciously. Even if you really don't believe in the law of assumption, you know that if you have an optimistic bias, you will be more likely to notice favorable opportunities. You will also be more likely not to discount them offhand as too good to be true. And you will be more likely to follow up on them. If, on the other hand, you have a pessimistic bias, you will be more prone to ignore opportunities, as you are so focused on and preoccupied by your fears. You are so focused on avoiding danger that you have no time or available resources to chase or spot a good opportunity. In other words, if you focus on the problem, you will tend to ignore or miss the solution. So even if you are really skeptical about the law of assumption, there is really no good excuse to be a pessimist. And if you're going to be irrational and believe in Murphy's law or bad luck, you might as well believe in the law of assumption. So why do we find it easier to believe in the negative interpretation of the law of assumption, the so-called Murphy's law, than in its positive counterpart? This probably stems from the evolutionary advantage that these afforded our ancestors when spotting threats such as predators. So we are still hardwired that way. We still think that by continuously looking out for danger, we can better prepare ourselves to react quickly and thus to survive. But in today's environment, our predators don't come in the form of wild animals, and they are unlikely to present a death threat or an immediate death threat. So us being consistently and constantly on the lookout for danger when there is no immediate threat to our life means that we suffer from stress, heart problems, hypertension, etc. So the very thing that we think is going to protect us can actually threaten our health, our well-being, and ultimately our life. But if this weren't enough to dismiss offhand our childhood conditioning that pessimistic people are clever and that optimistic ones are naive or gullible, remember Henry Ford's quote, "Whether you think that you can or that you can't, you're right." And if being right is really important to you, and it usually is really important to those who define themselves as realists, but who are merely pessimists masquerading as objective people, then why not be right about the good stuff? Why not focus on solutions, on positive outcomes? Why not live in the desired end rather than the unwanted one? There are no dangerous predators in our immediate surroundings. Not the ones you can avoid by running away from them or hiding from them anyways. You see, the winners in today's world are not those who avoid danger and risks. Rather, those who seize opportunities when they arise ahead of the competition. So you might as well train your articulate singular cortex to spot them, so you don't have to make the conscious effort to do so every time. And how on earth are you supposed to do that? By constantly and consistently visualizing and envisioning that which you desire. The rest is up to your amazingly powerful subconscious mind. So this is it for today. I hope you found this content helpful and informative, and if so, please like, share, and subscribe. In any case, thank you for listening. Have a wonderful awakened day.